So, Mira, where did this idea come from? Are you fascinated by the letter? I thought immediately to like Romeo and Juliet. There's more in a name, but there's more in a letter.
Right.
You know, is that kind of what the theme is here?
So this started off it started off with like a silly spark of an idea, which came from the fact that I love eggs. I love eggs and I love eggplant. They're two of my favorite foods, you know? And like, you have that experience and you're like, your brain does the little, like, it's a pattern. Do I love everything with the word egg in it? You know, it's your brain immediately shifts over to like, why is this? So I have that side of it. And then there's the side of it that like, I just am fascinated by human nature and the inability to change and how humans react when their belief systems are challenged. So, and that's just something I think about a lot, like politically or, you know, just like in the world today, how do people change and are they capable of change and why can't we change? So coming at it from that perspective, I wanted to tell this story as sort of a little fable about a crisis of faith and the rules we live by and how we are maybe incapable of huge change or becoming a new person, but we are capable of incremental or tiny changes.
So with that in mind, it's one letter difference, Frederick.
Yes.
What happens if it was an S name? How crazy would the explosion have been then? Like, is that kind of what you're getting at? The small introduction of just one letter difference explodes your whole world.
Right. So the choice this protagonist, Eleanor, she faces these two truths, right? She believes that the letter E is the only thing that matters to her, but she also likes a boy named Frederick, right? And those two things are incompatible, and she is faced with the decision to, just sort of abandon one or the other, or come to a tiny compromise. It's a tiny change, right? So she doesn't, even though her belief system of like the letter E is the best thing in the world and it's the only thing that matters, is challenged, and that is no longer true. She doesn't abandon it. She only gives in a little bit.
So I've got to ask then, from a cinematography standpoint, having a lead actress with red hair, was that fun to deal with? I mean, I know that's kind of a simple question, but it must have been fun to deal with.
And color correction?
Yeah.
Well,
God, that's the first thing I thought was like, God, this must have been really tough with her hair.
It's kind of funny because I shot a film just before this, and the lead also was very pale with red hair, and I was like, is this gonna be my thing? I shoot girls with long red hair, but I don't know, like during shooting it was totally fine and gorgeous, and like just the way the sun hits red hair is amazing. But in color correction, we did notice that it was more of a challenge, just that reds tend to get extremely saturated, so just sort of like managing that and making, like scene to scene, not like drastic differences. I think some people try to keep skin tone consistent. We were sort of like, we definitely did look at the hair. It's funny that you noticed that.
Yeah, it's I mean, you don't notice in the film, but you do. It's there.
Yeah.
Another element, and you talk about you love eggs. Shooting of eating is something it's tricky. I think y'all do it in such a fun, quirky way. Like, it's short, but how's that? How many takes do you guys had? You know what I mean? Like, the logistics of eating on screen is so difficult.
Yeah, so there were three main moments. So there's the moments of her eating eggs, right?
Yeah.
She just kind of like wolfs down whole eggs. Then there's the French fries, which had to be like a beautiful moment. French fries are amazing. And there's also there's a very subtle thing where her boyfriend Ed drinks eggnog, right? So like
and
those
edamame.
are three. And edamame. Well, the edamame is just like a thing that happens. It's not a plot point exactly, but but those three things had their own challenges. For one thing, the girl Alex King, who played Eleanor, hates eggs.
You're kidding me.
Yeah, so that was a challenge because she really did not enjoy eating those eggs at all. So we only did 2 takes of that. We had 2 hard-boiled eggs that we had her eat, and we were ready with water afterwards, and we just we had to prepare her a little bit for that and do it quickly, and trying to give her room to not
get off screen really quick
exactly.
afterwards.
So
wow.
And I mean, it was an acting challenge for her, I'm sure, and she did a great job. But we also were trying to be nice about it. It was an important part of the movie. We couldn't be like, oh no, actually you can eat a cupcake. So there was that, and then the French fries. We cast the French fries. We found the most delicious looking French fries in all of Austin.
I've got to ask, where did y'all find the French fries? Because your shots of it are picturesque and beautiful. That's a great calling card. I know how to film the best French fry in town.
So they're from this restaurant called Sala and Betty, which is also the restaurant where we shoot our drive-through scene.
Yeah.
And they're just the most delicious French fries. I love French fries. I'm a connoisseur of French fries, and we were looking for ones that sort of had the golden glow. And we wanted to be able to see the salt crystals, So these are thick, delicious French fries that our actors had to eat a lot of.
There's more than 2 takes, I hope.
That's a bunch of takes of that, yeah.
I will say that maybe my longing for French fries came through on the camera because I never got to taste those fries, and I really wanted to. And to this day, I've not had a French fry from that place.
Those French fries, they are very good.
But you shoot it better than anyone could. Wow. I've got to ask, putting in all the E elements, when did you know, okay, I've hit the saturation point? I don't need to add another egg, or not an egg, another E letter. When did you know, okay, I've got enough?
We shot a little more than we put in.
Okay.
So the movie starts with a little montage of archival footage of things that start with E, but it's very brief. There was a version of that was much longer and let you realize that each of those things was a letter E, and included stuff we shot ourselves, and a lot more edamame, even some frying eggs. We had elephant stuff, she had a stuffed animal elephant. Anyway, we just kind of, I think the E's work better if they're not annoying. So in editing, we sort of cut down on that. So we left it a little bit subtle, hopefully, as much as it can be for a movie called The Letter E. But yeah, that was a tough balance to hit.
As far as footage with all those takes of French fries, how much footage you guys actually shoot? How many takes do you like as a director? I mean, what was your shooting process?
In general, so I really highly value a good set atmosphere. So I frequently am balancing that in my mind with our shooting, and I like to have my shoots be fairly short. So we shot 3.5 days, not very long days, not full 12-hour days at all.
Did you shoot all in daytime then?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
We did have a night shoot planned, but we changed it to day.
Yeah. And I don't have any set number of takes where I'm okay, well, if we don't have it in 8 takes, we're calling it. It's more there were some things that I don't like to do takes for the sake of doing takes usually. Although on set I did have the reputation for saying, okay, let's just do one more every time. I would just say that every time, and I think that was annoying for some people. But I don't want to overshoot either, because that's not fun. I was also the editor. I don't want to go through that later. So I try to be in the moment enough to be able to watch the takes and see whether or not we got it.
How much fun is it to go through that footage and the editing process, that final write, if you will? It's your final moment.
So I love editing. I actually work as an editor more so than anything else in film. And so that's a fun process, but when it's your own movie, you also go through this emotional roller coaster of, I don't think we have a movie, there's nothing here, there's no way we can do it, and then, oh, this is great, I've made this scene work, now I at least have that, and then oh man, this scene isn't gonna work, oh no, I'll never make this work, and then oh my god, we made a movie, oh man, there's a rough cut, I think this is working. And then you show it to people and they're like, what is this? And you're like, oh, I don't have a movie, I'll never make a movie. And then you get to this point where finally things start coming together, and it's such a high, and I don't know, it's an amazing moment to be with this music, this scene is perfect.
We did have. Oh well, I remember one part where she was struggling, and it was because we had a catastrophe on set, sort of a very minor one, but our tripod broke. And
Wow.
so on that hill scene, where they're eating the French fries, that's where it happened, and that kind of like threw us off a little bit. So there were some cuts that we were struggling. I know that she was struggling with because of the line and everything. But I thought it worked out. But we actually had to use the dolly as the tripod for that scene because we were getting.
Did you anchor it or?
Yeah, they just like put a bunch of sandbags around it. And,
it was crazy. We had a really lovely tripod, but the screw was stripped, and then anyway, it was totally useless. It was like, this is such a nice tripod we cannot use right now.
Yeah.
It's like a DP's worst nightmare.
It was.
You gotta go handheld all of a sudden. It's terrible.
It was.
And I was like,
sad.
no handheld. No, this is in the right place.
Because we were getting equipment, I almost checked out a second, like less good tripod, and he'll kill me for saying this, but AC was like, nah, you'll be fine. This is a really great tripod.
Yeah. Never trust the AC.
I know. He's wonderful.
So then I've got to ask, what did y'all shoot on? And since you shot in daytime, was there added lighting or was this all natural?
We shot on the Sony F5,
Okay.
and I mean, Rachel did an amazing job with our gaffer of using almost or mostly modified natural light. So we're using the sun and doing a lot of things to it, but we're not using that many lights.
Can you give us some secrets?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. So, yeah, the only scene that I think we used lights for was the bathroom scene, which was my least favorite, but because we had to rush it and I wanted to spend
way
more
too
time
rushed
with
on
it.
that, yeah.
But beyond that, we used the sun, and kind of the big thing was just taking light away a lot of times. So rather than using fill or bounce, we used negative fill, and that was kind of and some diffusion. There were a lot of butterfly kit moments, but not too much because I think in film sometimes I can spot a mile away. I'm like, oh, it looks like it's high noon, yet the light on their characters is really soft and beautiful. What are they standing under? A butterfly kit? So we just we did use it quite a bit, but we tried to not use it in ways that were like obviously they should be in harsh.
It doesn't come across. I didn't see that or have that moment.
Yeah.
I definitely, her hair, the color got me much more than the lighting. Y'all did a great job.
Thank you.
As far as like having this particular female character, and where does her quirkiness come from? Is it part of you? Is it not? Like, she's adorable, but in a very unique, fun way too.
I don't really think that she's me. I mean, you know, when you write, you're like, every character is partially you, and then you're like, oh God, it's me. I hate myself. But in this case, I kind of struggled because on the page and in some versions of the movie, it's not a likable character at all. It's like, you know, she's
Set in her ways.
She's very set in her ways. Like, she's not really supposed to be, you know, like she's not somebody that we should admire, really. But I wanted us to feel for her because I think that she is like all of us. Like, we're all set in our ways. We're all incapable of change in some ways. And so I struggled with that. I struggled with finding an actor who could bring the sort of like cartoonish fairy tale side of things to her. And I struggled with like giving her enough sort of weight to be believable as a real person.
Wow. Well, I've got to ask, you guys were part of opening night. It was a great fun night at Tex Theater. Being able to show it with that big audience in front of that movie was amazing. The feature was,
it was
mind-blowing. What was that experience for you guys? And also just being at this festival for this weekend, what has it meant to you guys?
Well, I feel like extremely lucky and honored to be a part of it, especially on opening night and playing in front of Girl Asleep. Like, I don't know, it's just like, it's such this is our festival premiere. And so having this big event and having such a like reactive and happy audience and people just so excited to be here and so excited to see it has been like the perfect way to start off our festival circuit. Being part of a women-centered film festival is really important to me, and I feel like I'm very excited about this festival and the future of it, and I'm excited to be in a place where I get to meet other female filmmakers who are going to take over the world, you know?
Yeah, and I thought the space was really incredible. Like the historical building, the theater was just like, I couldn't have asked for like a cooler spot.
Place, yeah.
That's where they caught Oswald. Yeah, crazy. But guys, where does the film go from here? Festival-wise, but also plans to expand. I mean, what's next for it?
I won't expand this film. I think it lives in its own 14-minute world, and I think that is exactly where it should be. We will be doing a festival circuit, and probably eventually we'll release it online. I like to have people watch the things I make. I think movies are much better when they're seen. So eventually I'll release it online or through other platforms. For now, I'm going to focus on getting into other festivals like this one where I can show it to people who are also excited about making movies.
Final real question. Did you ever have an idea, or do you have a cut that's 11 minutes long?
Oh.
Because you're there, you're 14.
Yeah.
Roughly, like 13 or something, yeah.
So yeah. I should.
You should. That would be amazing, yeah.
But I don't. I think there's probably not 3 minutes to cut out of it. I should try, though. I should try. It should really be 11 minutes.
I didn't mean to put you on the spot. I just kind of thought about that. That would have been incredible.
Oh my gosh.
11 minutes in the letter E film.
Ugh.
But guys, wonderful job. I was really blown away. Loved your color correction. And I can't wait to see more from you guys.